doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Today, what do we want to talk about? I had a couple of ideas in mind, but I think I'll start off by building off of the last video, which was kind of talking about online communities, but less about whether or not we need to build online communities and more about the precarious state of the world we're in. I try not to catastrophize, and I fail frequently, often, all the time, because I don't know how to plan for the world we're in. I don't know how to plan for it. Living in the United States, looking at the political leader heading our government at the moment, looking at the state of the job market, how technology is transforming work and how CEOs intend to implement it. It feels like it's headed towards a bit of a concerning direction. Environmentally, socially, financially, politically, rising divides between individuals based off of these microcosms we're living in online. Like, a part of me, I think, is trying to escape this inevitable element of being human, which is chaos. What do I mean by that? I decided to get off of TikTok and get off of Instagram. TikTok, I've done pretty well on. Like, it's been a week and I haven't been on the app. If I open it, I close it again because there definitely is an element of a reflex there. With Instagram, I get on it. Maybe I'll spend like no more than 5 minutes a day. We have brought down our social media intake heavily. Now I spend a little bit more time on YouTube. I find that the comments and the engagement here is a bit deeper, that I'm forcing my attention span to elongate and to just be more thoughtful about the information that I consume. With that said, even without TikTok and Instagram, it almost feels like you can't escape the world coming in, and the world is not a space that I can control. I can't control the amount of suffering. I can't control the state of our economy. I can't control the fact that as a result of a flood and defunding a very necessary national service weather watching, monitoring that institution, right? That girls in Texas, not even girls, just counselors, girls, community members, boys, young men, over 100 lives were lost in a flood, and something that feels completely preventable. I think to myself sometimes, okay, you know what, let the US go, move somewhere else. But there is not a world without chaos to a certain extent. I feel like every country has its issues, every place has its problems, and maybe America has more than its fair share. But other countries still look at the US as this beacon of light, of hope. I had a conversation with my dad the other day about how I feel like America is kind of, going down the drain a little bit. And he still felt adamant about the fact that America is this great country. And it made me think about the fact that he still believed in America because America upheld its promise to him. Upheld its promise, what do you mean? Well, my father, he immigrated to the US from Nigeria, and under the promise of opportunities to get access to better education, better life, and just a better standard of living. And America has delivered on all of those promises. That his life here today, the career he's built for himself, the opportunities and access he's been been able to give to me and my siblings, America did what it said it would do. But then there's another promise America made. A promise America made to its citizens, to the people who, or not even to the citizens, but to the people who were born here, who didn't come from an expectation of a better life, but that I would be able to have the life that my parents had and that things would improve. But then you are growing up in a space where you're consistently watching the vision you once held become increasingly difficult to obtain. And if you can obtain it, that most people won't get it. Most people can't just work a decent paying job and go on vacation twice a year and have a white picket fence and 2.1 kids and a dog named Photo or Fido or whatever. The housing market is really precarious. Interest rates are really precarious. The cost of education is really precarious. Is America still a place where people can come here and it'll deliver on its promise of better? Absolutely. But there are people who, they're not seeing things get better. They're seeing it get worse. And that's a really interesting conundrum to, or that's, in my mind, trying to hold space for both of those truths, both of those phenomenon simultaneously. Where do I fall? As the child of immigrants who watched what they built and still has this hunger to build, but also understands like, hey, there's a standard that I witnessed this country say it has, and it's deteriorating. I'm drinking a cup of chamomile tea out of my English cup, or my cup from London, and it was probably made in China, and anyway, it's I'm also recognizing the fact that part of my anxiety is because the future is unknown, but I don't think there's ever been a generation that's had all the answers about what's ahead. Every generation has had to deal with a degree of turmoil and uncertainty. Granted, I think we are really going through some things right now, but I'm sure everyone has felt that way. And one thing I'm trying to do is be grateful for what I have, show up well for what I have. When I think about my future, think about it less in the terms of what can I do to make a bunch of money, but more about like, how can I help people? How can I add value to my community? How can I show up and give without asking for anything? Whether it's buying bubbles and going to the park or offering to babysit or play with kids or volunteer. How can I show up? Because I think putting all your faith in this ability to accrue material things was always set to fail, but is becoming, the cracks in this game are widening quickly. I spent a lot of time researching AI and its implications on the journalism industry, how journalism is influencing how we discuss and view AI and all of those things. And even without that, I think especially because of that in tandem with watching how it's being discussed and presented online, and that alongside like mass tech layoffs, it's just like, whoa, we're really witnessing a revolution. At the same time, the US is going to war or preparing to go to war or striking Iran. Like there are all these things happening. And it's a lot. And on the line of thought about AI, it's so interesting to witness this complete switch, because I also remember so many people being really highly encouraged to like study computer science, study software engineering, become a developer, do all these things because they're high paying jobs so you can work for a tech company. And I don't think that we ever once paused and stopped and asked ourselves, like, what are our passions? What do our souls want? What do our hearts call for us? I'm grateful that I chose to study something that I genuinely am interested in and it excites me. And I have a tendency to be a workaholic, but I don't, but what I do doesn't feel like work. Actually, it does feel like work, because why am I up at, to try and catch this meeting? But I always say to myself, like, try to do something you were going to do for free anyway. I wanted to answer these questions anyway. I wanted to explore these things anyway. I wanted to know about it. I wanted to grow. Even if I didn't have to clock in today, somewhere along the line, I probably was going to dive into this. And I don't know, and with the mass amount of layoffs that are going on in tech, I guess part of my heart hurts, not only for the people who have kind of been discarded by companies, who have lost that sense of security, but then also for people who invested in something that was never about them anyway, right? You gave everything for them being a corporation. But what about you? What about you? And I think it's important to try to maintain some of your humanity and your heart when it comes to picking the things you invest your energy into. And I know most people, and that's a privilege. That's really a privilege to choose passion and to choose heart. But I think it's also a part of like listening to your soul, and a part of just maintaining your humanity. Love to know your thoughts. Love to know what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And this has been Alma on the Go. Until next time.